takes a while.
Okay, we're live now. I'm gonna put myself on mute, and then Sibyl can start with her introduction. Okay.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks to all for being there and participating to the launch of the Brussels Gallery Weekend. It's been quite an effort to organize it. I hope everyone will enjoy it. And mostly this panel discussion, which is more than ever a subject that has to be discussed, I guess, as local potentially has nowadays some future or some place to take in order to help the cultural sector in general, I would say. Now, I'm sure all the participating members of this talk will be much more interesting than me in this matter. So I will leave you with them to discuss that.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sibyl, for this kind introduction. Just a technical remark, Pete, I don't see the live stream on YouTube at this moment, but I guess it's okay, right?
Yes, normally it's okay. I see it myself, so.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's start. Welcome, everyone. My name is Peter van Meulen. I'll be your host for tonight, your moderator. Or at least for the next hour or so. Luckily, I find myself in a great company tonight. So a warm welcome also to our guests sitting around this virtual table. I know you're all super busy at the moment, so thanks for taking the time to join us for this panel talk. And introducing my guests to our online viewers. So we have Hélène Duminil, who is the founder and advisor of Ballon Rouge Collective. Isabella Ritter, who's joining us from Vienna. She's a gallerist of Lambda Lambda Lambda, a gallery in Pristina in Kosovo, and also partner of La Maison de Rendezvous in Brussels. From Antwerp, we have Bart van der Wiesen, who is a gallerist of Base Alpha Gallery, but also the president of the Antwerp Art Platform or organization. Then from Ghent, we have Oliver Barbet and Christophe Urbain. Both of them are gallerists of Barbet Urbain Gallery. They founded it together. We were supposed to have an extra guest, Harlan Levy from Harlan Levy Project in Brussels, but unfortunately he couldn't make it at this very moment. He will try to join later. Okay, today we will be talking about the challenges that are at stake in the wake of the Corona crisis. Obviously, the global pandemic has raised numerous questions on an ecological, on economic, and on a social and political level. This will also have a deep impact on the art world and more specifically the art market, which is the topic of our current discussion. However, I don't think we're here to complain or to lament the status quo. We want to be looking for answers and for new models, new formulas, however provisional or premature they may seem at this moment. Every crisis is also an opportunity, as people tend to say. So what does that mean for our current situation? Answers will not come easily, I guess. So let's try to address the following questions during our talk. Will the global art market have to be reconfigured after this pandemic? What is the future of major art fairs and also the role of galleries as possible participants in art fairs? Can we think of best practices? Can we think of examples of collaborative models in the contemporary art market? What are the opportunities? What are the challenges? What are the pitfalls? How do we create more alliances between different cities, cities within Belgium, but also outside of Belgium? And is there such a thing as the lure of the local? This is an expression I derived from art critic Lucy Lippert. The question is, what is our sense of place and our sense of community in a globalized art world? As I said before, the pandemic has drastically shaken up our social-political conditions today. but has also led to an acceleration of virtual platforms. Our panel discussion is taking place on Zoom right now, but is being live streamed on the YouTube channel of Brussels Gallery Weekend with a slight delay of 20 seconds. If you, our online viewers on YouTube, have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section or the live chat section on YouTube, and I will try to follow up during our conversation. The idea, however, is to have a discussion with the entire panel that is present now before moving on to the Q&A session, which will be in an hour or so. First off, I would like to give each of the panel members 5 minutes, around 5 minutes to present yourselves, but also tell us a little bit about how your gallery or your initiative relates to the topic of our talk today. We will start with Isabella Ritter. Isabella, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. So, as Peter mentioned, I'm a partner of La Maison des Rendez-Vous, which is a collaborative gallery based in Brussels, which is run by 4 international galleries. In the case like the one that I'm co-running, Lambda, Lambda, Lambda. But then there is also a gallery from Tokyo, Misako and Rosen. Then there is Lulu from Mexico City and Paul Soto from Los Angeles. So the 4 of us, we founded La Maison des Rendez-Vous, which is our base in Brussels. So speaking about how this topic relates to us, I think it's quite evident that it helps to collaborate in these times and to span a bigger network. But also we are very lucky being based in Brussels because the pandemic has also hit globally like differently. So the impact of the pandemic, I would say, is not so harsh in Belgium as we are experiencing it now compared to, let's say, Kosovo or Los Angeles or Mexico City. Yes, so I think that's it for the moment.
Thank you very much, Isabella. Let's move on to the other participant from Brussels, Hélène Duménil.
Hi. So yes, I'm Hélène Duménil from Ballon Rouge Collective, and I founded the collective in 2017 with Nicole O'Rourke, and we are a nomadic gallery essentially. So the local global axis was already very present for us as a concept pre-virus, and it's something we thought about at the time more in terms of the artist and what and who they can reach themselves locally and how we can help them by going globally ourselves as a gallery. So to achieve that, we had a network of curators and international galleries that basically led us to we were going globally into local, if that makes sense. And so for us, the virus, post-virus or mid-virus, wherever we are, I don't know, doesn't change our concept, but kind of makes it stronger. Like La Maison des Rendez-Vous, the art world had already started to change in many ways. It's just that the finger wasn't pointed at it so vigorously. And so what it does is it shortens our perimeter, but it also strengthens the idea, like Isabella said, that collaboration is really key, especially right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's it for now.
Okay, thank you, Hélène. We will have more time to talk about that. Moving to Ghent, we have Oliver Barbet, who is joining us from Barbet Urbain Gallery.
Hello, so yes, I'm Oliver Barbet. Christophe Urbain couldn't make it tonight, so it's me alone. So, but normally we're 2, and we founded it in 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, to January 2018. So we're a very young gallery. Yeah, we also haven't participated at fairs yet. So for us, next year was going to be the first year we were going to participate. So for us, it's we were planning to become more visible by joining fairs on an international level. But because the fairs are cancelled and it's not sure if there will be any fairs next year, we decided to attract a broader audience in our own city. So now we're organizing a very large group show in a high-end visible street with an overview of every artist, of almost every artist that we brought in the past. So yeah, now we're definitely looking to show a program to broader audience, more local. But I also think it's important because our gallery is situated in Ghent. We really need to gather locally with the other galleries to have more visibility, national and international. I mean, in Brussels, you immediately have a more international audience, whereas in Ghent is still a kind of a local city. So we're very much looking together with our colleagues to work together by organizing maybe gallery weekends, by meeting together almost maybe every month, something like that. So yeah, for us, it's the start of a career and in the middle of the pandemic. So very exciting.
Okay, thank you, Oliver. Our last guest that will need introduction is Bart van der Biezen from Antwerp, who's running both Base Alpha Gallery, but also Antwerp Arts.
Yeah, so my name is Bart van der Biezen. I founded Base Alpha Gallery in 2007, just before the financial crisis of 2008, which makes me in a position to evaluate some crises. I'm also head of the Antwerp Arts organization, who organize communication for all the participants on contemporary arts in Antwerp. And we try to make bridges for all of the sector. And we also organized the Antwerp Art Weekend, which was cancelled because it was during the lockdown. Both my gallery as Antwerp Art are focused on bringing the local on a bigger platform. So for my own focus, it's quite local. I have Belgian artists or artists who live and work in Belgium. So the connection with the local art scene is very important. And also for Antwerp Art, it is bringing everything what happens in our city towards the world and to a bigger platform. Besides that, I also started the Ballroom initiative last year with a colleague, Ida Wollens from DNW Gallery, as little side projects where we put some likewise galleries together to share context, to share shows, to share energy in physical of program next to the Antwerp Art Weekend. This year would have been the second edition, but also because of the lockdown, it was cancelled and we were forced to rethink it very quickly into a digital platform, but maybe this comes up later in the panel talk.
Okay, thank you very much. So after this brief round of introduction, let's move to the first topic we can discuss. Well, Bart, you explained what Antwerp Art Weekend is all about. So this yearly event that is being organized in Antwerp, that sounds very much like what a Brussels Gallery Weekend is doing. Sibylle, I'm not sure if you're still there, but do you see some parallels or some similarities between Brussels Gallery Weekend and Antwerp Art Weekend?
Sorry, I'm there, but I'm hiding, working a bit on the side. I do think there is a lot of similarities. Yes, I mean, the concept is there, it's the same. We have even created this year a project which is named Art Across Europe, which links gallery weekends all around Europe together, and we work and discuss together. There's absolutely no competition, and the idea is to strengthen the different art scenes together. So I think it's something that we should do on a longer term, that can help galleries to share experiences, as well as I don't know, even institutions. And as for Antwerp, it's since years we've communicating together, and potentially we should do something a bit stronger once. But maybe in the future that can happen. As you see Cologne and Düsseldorf happening together, that could be eventually something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, a gallery weekend is not a new concept. So the only thing that sets us a bit apart is that we don't call it a gallery weekend, but an art weekend. And we want to include also the off spaces, the non-profit spaces, and we even invite curators to make shows, especially for the weekends. But as you said, and Brussels is also rethinking its concept a bit every year, and to find some new ways to make it interesting. Mm. And a collaboration is very important, that we keep things in a talk.
Yeah, because let's face it, Belgium is a very tiny country, and what always strikes me is that it's falling apart into different little art scenes in Brussels, in Ghent, in Liège, in Antwerp. So it would be, I think it would be very interesting to think about a possible dialogue or a possible collaboration between those different art scenes. Isabella, is this also something that struck you, the fact that Belgium, as such a tiny country, consists of many different art scenes?
Well, I think it's a strength of Belgium that there exists so many different art scenes, because it means that it's not centralized, you know, that there's not like in other countries that there's the capital where everybody needs to go in order to be able to be creating and be successful. So I think it's, yeah, I don't know, I see it in positively, of course. I'm sure one can also see many negative things about it, but I think it's actually interesting that Ghent and Antwerp, that they all can sustain their own kind of scene that is apparently like also working and successful.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess there's also the question of how to invite artists, which artists to work with. I mean, so that's also the relationship between the gallery and the community, the local community of artists. Oliver, how do you go about selecting your artists or the artists you work with?
This is, yeah, especially because yeah, we that's something I forgot to say. We haven't started representing yet. So for us, it's everything is possible, and yeah, of course we follow as much as possible. But we have some artists that we work very personally with, and we try to work with all the artists very personally. And of course, their opinion is important to get to know new artists as well, and from there on we start to follow them for a longer time. But I think the artists we work very closely with are the perfect yeah, meeting team to spar with. So I think yeah, I think that's the explanation how we try to find or how we select artists is, of course, by first starting to hear the ideas of all the artists we work together with, and then from there on we make our own selection.
Let's move on to Helene. Helene, you defined a Ballon Rouge Collective as a kind of nomadic gallery. Does that mean that there's no connection to the local art scene at all, or how do you see this?
Well, We have personal connections with the art scene, of course, because I live here. The director, Nicole, lives in Istanbul, so she comes for every show. Of course, I do studio visits and I meet a lot of artists. And the plan in the future was to expand a little bit more our program with artists and start showing more local artists, because the way the gallery was set up is that each curator in each city in each country, they chose the artist with collaboration with us, obviously, but it was a local artist to their city and their country. So that's why our program is not aesthetically, doesn't look like the program of one person.
Okay, but that's an interesting model, I must say. I mean, but still the question, who selected the curators, or how did you curate the curators, so to speak?
We curated the curator by having a curated life of a global arts person.
Yeah.
So one of the curators I've known for 20 years, met in Paris. She's Mexican, lives in Sao Paulo. We're still very good friends, and that's how it was. It was through a network of a lifetime in the art world that is global, and so people come from everywhere and live everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually a very easy network to do, because like everybody on this panel, I'm sure, has curators and gallerists and artists that live all over the place.
Mm-hmm. But people you work with are freelance curators, I imagine?
They're all different kinds of curators, but yes, mostly. But they all have a full-time job on the side,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
what I'm asking for is one exhibition a year, really. That's what the collective asks for. Of course, after the network was supposed to and had started to create a web, because the artist that the Sao Paulo curator had chosen is now the artist that we're presenting here in Brussels. And so with the artists and curators meshing with each other, the network is, I don't know if it will continue, creating a web of connections for the artists mainly, so that they can keep on expanding their work and their reach.
Okay, but how do you look at the economic role of curators? I mean, recently there's been a lot of discussion around this position of agents or art agents, where the curator is kind of this hybrid figure in between a gallerist, a curator, possibly also an art critic. But as you said, also a nomadic gallery releases you of let's say, the burden of a physical space, having to deal with a physical space, pay the rent, etc. So how do you look at the this hybrid figure of a curator acting as a gallerist at the same time?
Well, first we pay rent and we have a space. I think that's never going to go away, because we're physically present in the world. So whether we are able to go and see all of the art all around the world, no, not right now. And I don't think we have been for a long time. We've been looking at art online for a long time already. But the reason why we have, in this specific model anyway, I can't speak for all curators and their reason to be, but in this specific case, we have curators because they are the person that links us to the local scene where we go. Otherwise, we're just two people doing a show in Sao Paulo, New York, 3 weeks and then closing down. So
but they make the difference. Yeah.
They make a huge difference. First of all, because they are, in a way, they are the gallerist there. I mean, it's like imagine Zwerner or Gagosian. They have actual spaces and directors and curators everywhere. We just do a minuscule version of that without having spaces and real estate everywhere.
Well, let's stick to that subject. And Isabella, could you tell us a little bit more about La Maison de Rendezvous, how it works? Because you said it helps to collaborate in these times, but how do you collaborate? On which levels? How
Well,
far does it go?
Well, first of all, we share the real estate, as Hélène already introduced this notion of real estate. So we shared all the costs for our real estate in Saint-Gilles. And accordingly, we also share the time of this being in the space. So the idea is that either each gallery, like each individual member, so to say, has time slots, like either one or multiple per year, or we also collaborate in that way that we do exhibitions together. So our exhibition in July, for instance, was a collaboration. So we all curated it, we all paid for it together. We all worked on it in the same way. And so this is something we want to explore, like to have, of course, to remain our own identities, but also to create another identity as La Maison du Rendezvous.
So you wouldn't go that far as to share context for the network, for instance, because that's what galleries are competing for very often.
Yes, but I think that's I think in that case we are collaborating. So of course we are sharing our networks, so already one of the galleries has a contact who is interested in another gallery's artist, so you work on that together, or you brainstorm together who would be interested in what. So you share, press, you share many different contacts. And so whenever somebody needs something, they just can ask the others, if they know somebody there or for that, or, all the questions that can come up in daily business, so to say.
Yeah. And if you look at it critically, evaluating La Maison de Rendezvous until now, what have been the challenges and what are still the current problems?
Well, the problems, I think so far I would say I'm rather happy, but I think it takes time, and that's something, it's something I like actually about Brussels, that there's no hype, because many times there were initiatives to hype up Brussels, but somehow it never materialized, because I think the people are resistant to this notion of hype. So I think things take their time, but in a healthy way. So looking at it critically, I think it takes time until people come and explore, and get acquainted with the gallery, and also take the time to understand what we're actually doing, because I think it's not so evident, it's not so easy to understand it, what we are, who we are, what we are doing, and so on. So I think time is a matter, a factor that is important.
That's true, but it's true what you say. We've seen this hype around Brussels in the past, let's say 10 years. We've also heard these popular slogans like Brussels is the new Berlin, etc. But it never became that hyped, did it? So Bart van der Biezen, is Antwerp making a comeback? Is the Antwerp art scene making a comeback?
But we are never in need of making a comeback, because like 10 years ago, some galleries moved to Brussels to be part of the hype and to be in the global city of Brussels. But Antwerp still went on, and a lot of interesting things happened. A lot of interesting artists were coming over to Antwerp because it was cheaper, it was freer, or still is both. So we just highlight what is happening in Antwerp by doing the communication for Antwerp Art. And for me, Antwerp is, as always, it's always busy, it's always looking for interesting things, maybe a bit more underground than Brussels. But yeah, I'm in Antwerp, so I cannot have a good overview of what is happening here because I'm from bottom up. So.
Well, at least in Brussels, we see a very interesting mix that is also reflected in the program of Brussels Gallery Weekend of top-notch galleries, contemporary art galleries, but also artist-run initiatives. And it's I think exactly this kind of diverse mix of initiatives of institutional and non-institutional profit and non-profit initiatives that really creates the richness of a local art scene. Yeah, so I think that's something that's both interesting in the Brussels art scene, in the art scene also of Antwerp. In Ghent is often, in terms of contemporary art, a city that's often a little bit forgotten, at least commercially speaking. Of course, we have SMAC, MSK, and so on. But in terms of contemporary art galleries, is there a lot moving in that direction, Oliver?
Yeah, as you say, we have a beautiful contemporary art museum. We also have HISC, which is quite important. We have some very good art schools as well. So we have a lot of artists, but it always surprises me, yeah, how little galleries there are in Ghent. So I would be very happy to have a larger gallery scene. Yeah, I mean, if you compare the population with Antwerp and Brussels to Ghent, I think Ghent is 3 times as little as Antwerp, but we don't have 3 times as little galleries in Ghent, which I always thought it was a very bizarre thing. But yeah, I think if I look to the interested people who come to the gallery, I think our clients are maybe younger, and I have the feeling things are changing in Ghent. Interests, yeah, I don't know, but of course for us it's especially very important to work together, to have a little bit more visibility. So for us, it's almost vital to be larger than Ghent, to be more than a local gallery with local artists. So.
And is there such thing as an official contemporary art platform similar to, for instance, in Brussels? Brussels has NECA for the commercial galleries, the Walk for the artist-run spaces, Antwerp has Antwerp Art. Is there such a thing in a similar initiative in Ghent?
Well, now we have a WhatsApp group with Tatiana Pieters and Christophe de Klerk, and last 2 weeks ago we sat together, and yeah, we started talking about how we're gonna do it in the future to organize weekends that we're open together and to promote it together, communicate it together. So yeah, definitely, yeah. But it's with the 3 of us that we're gonna try to make more noise, maybe to Brussels and to Antwerp. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. By the way, the rest, feel free to interfere. I can't look you in the eyes, but feel free to interfere if you want. Okay. Well, let's talk about something else. Art fairs. As you all know, as you're all quite aware, art fairs play an important role still in the globalized art market, and for many galleries, even the smaller to mid-sized galleries, art fairs really make a difference, also financially, economically speaking. Due to the restricted mobility, due to the pandemic, I think the role of art fairs are also being questioned a little bit. It demands a lot of investment, financial investment on the side of galleries, but also like flying, transport, etc., will become less obvious than it has been before. I think Hélène said it quite beautifully. The art world had already started to change. This is not like we didn't have to wait for the pandemic. Some things started shifting already. So could you elaborate on that a little more, Hélène? Especially in relation to art fairs?
In relation to art fairs, well, we did a few art fairs online But for a gallery our size, an art fair is only beneficial if we get to meet the people face to face, because we don't have famous artists. All the artists we have are really starting their career, so there's not much basis to go on with the artists that we show. We can't show a massive resume. We can't show museums or museum shows or anything. It really has to be a person coming into our booth, feeling attracted to the work, talking to us, maybe talking to the artist if she or he is there. And so for us, the online fair did not work. But that being said, I think the online in general it has been happening for a long time. It's just we just didn't put the finger on it. We didn't say this is what we do. People don't say yes, I buy art online without ever having seen it, because it's not seen very well to say that, but it's actually happening everywhere, all over the place. The amounts of gallery shows, museum shows all over the place, even if you're traveling 24/7 all the time, you can't see everything. It's undoable. So we buy online. People buy online, have been for a long time. So art fairs, I think, it was great that they did it such short notice. I'm not sure it was the best way, but I think like everything else, it's gonna get better. And I, for one, as a young gallerist, I enjoyed going to my own fair in my pajamas. It was nice.
But can we also find alternatives to art fairs, to mainstream art fairs, for instance? I'm reminded of what Bart mentioned, this initiative called Ballroom Project. Could you explain it a little bit, and how you evaluated the second or first or second edition?
Well, the first edition was last year during the Antwerp Art Weekend, where we had a huge ballroom to organize an event in, and we, me and Ida Wollens from the DNW Gallery here in Borgerhout, we asked like 8 galleries who are in the same position as our gallery, with the same idea about collaborating. And we organized a commercial platform that was not looking like a commercial art fair. So we had a huge, very rough party hall, and we set up an exhibition curated by a young curator. And it was an exhibition, but with a commercial side to it. So all galleries were there. They were able to sell, they were able to talk to the visitors. We organized a dinner together, and it was all about connecting together, also connecting the artists to other galleries, but also sharing energy, sharing context, contacts, sharing just know-how and those things. And for the second edition, or maybe it's also important to know that the main goal of Ballroom was that we asked galleries from different cities in Belgium and in the Netherlands. And the idea was to have it also in the other cities, and not curated by, but that the local participating galleries could be a bigger person in the organization of the edition in their city. So for Antwerp, we organized it, but it could happen in Amsterdam, organized by another gallery who is situated in Amsterdam, or in Paris, or all
Mhm.
over the world in the end. So for the second edition, it was also planned for during the Antwerp Art Weekend of May, but also that was cancelled. And then we decided to organize it online as a shared, yeah, it was more like a web shop than like an art fair. So it was a shared platform where we offered the works, but with the context. There was a CV, there was a little text written about the artist, about the work that was offered, and people could order it online.
So did that also change your contacts? I mean, the people who bought the works, were they like people you knew from before, or did it also change your audience? Let's say your.
What we learned is that we had a lot of visitors during the 2 months that it was online. I don't know the exact numbers, but it was a huge traffic on the website because of the shared context. So every gallery was supporting it, was announcing it in their newsletters on their websites and social media. So there was a lot of traffic coming to that platform. But what we learned is that especially young people bought online.
Okay.
Not big collectors, but yeah, young people who, and I think that's the main idea, that they check everything online and prices, and they don't have to ask you. So the transparency of an online platform can help in persuading people to buy online.
Okay. Well, it's surprisingly easy to set up a web shop, as you called it. So to organize like an online viewing room or online showroom. Isabella, does this also is this also something that is of interest to you? As a gallery, how did you get through the lockdown? How did you deal with your relationship to collectors, to possible customers, and so on?
Well, yeah, it's this online presence. It's a very complex theme, I think.
Why?
So on the one hand, well, it's on the one hand, it's the promise of like ubiquity, of being everywhere. But at the, yeah, as also Bart said, I think it's a certain target group that one has with this online presence, because as he also stated, it was not the older, like I would say, like more established collectors who were looking for this kind of medium, but more like young people who could, I guess, for a very friendly price, could buy their some works for their like house or something. I think it becomes more tricky as the price level increases, and also as Hélène says, I think it's very tricky for rather unknown artists to make the move to buy something online. I think it works quite well if the work is already known and has been seen a lot and people already know what it is. Then I guess, yeah, it's easier, you know, because you also target a certain group of people who are already interested in that artist. But it's no way to make discoveries, because for this you need like a in-person interaction, and I think this is not like hardly replaceable by online situations. However, I must say we participated this year the first time in Art Basel, so without the pandemic.
Yeah.
In statements in Art Basel, it would have been our first participation in real life if COVID wouldn't have come.
Yeah.
But it was replaced by an online edition, and I was very positively surprised that it actually worked really well. But I think it worked really well because the work
you
that
mean which level, financially or? aesthetically?
Well, financially and like exposure and like visits and in all regards, I would say it worked quite well. But also I understood, since we also participated in many other online initiatives where it was completely like useless, I would say. One has to also like be critical and ask, what does it mean to be online, you know, because just to put something online out there, it doesn't do anything, you know, like it's like that every gallery can do it themselves also, you know. For this you don't need to be on the under the umbrella of some art fair. But I think what makes the big difference is the actual work behind, you know, behind the platform, that that makes something that is online successful, being like people contacting the like VIPs, like the collectors, you know, organizing some sort of content, and all of this really helps the success of an art fair rather than to just be online. And I think yeah, in the end nothing replaces the in real life situation. And I think this is, I feel some people were tired already before the pandemic, was this constant traveling to art fairs and being in this hamster wheel and always feeling to be behind, you know, because if you're like on one fair, the next started 2 days later, you know, and you there was like almost impossible to, you know, keep track. And I think many people were caught up in this kind of wheel. So I already felt before the pandemic that there was, and there was also a conversation about this before already, you know, going back to the galleries. And but that didn't really happen, you know. But I feel now with the pandemic and with the standstill of the like this traveling, I feel it can have a positive impact on actually the traffic in the galleries.
Yeah.
That the people who are confined locally or regionally, that they actually want to go to the galleries, because also there's like no traveling to art fairs and so on. So yeah, I'm very curious how this will evolve in the next couple of months.
Well, that's maybe a question for the entire panel. Do you think online initiatives are here to stay? Do you think they offer a sustainable solution, a sustainable alternative, economically speaking and ecologically speaking? So less traveling, a bit more ease of mind, perhaps, so less hectic, etc. Anyone care to respond?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think I think we can't go back anymore. We already started something different, but also digitally. We started videographing all our exhibitions before COVID started, and yeah, I noticed it
What do you
became
mean
very.
by that? Sorry, could you explain it?
Yeah, so we filmed the whole exhibition in one take and put it online already before the COVID started. So and I see it triggers a lot of people, but I always had the impression that it was a good trigger to get people to the gallery, as you also stated. Yeah, now I see, because of the pandemic and everybody, and especially during the lockdown, yeah, for instance, we're also on Artsy, and now we're going to go on Gallery Viewer in the Netherlands, and you can tell that there were much more requests than before. I think all the galleries are more into the digital world, so yeah, I think I think collectors will follow as there are more initiatives and more galleries that have to be on there. I think as soon as one goes on it, everybody has to be present, and digital content as well. Yeah, filming, details, everything. Whereas we used to just take one picture of a work, we now take 10, 20 pictures of details and everything, just because to present it online as well. So
Anyone else who would like to share his or her experience?
But I think it has to do with each one's profile, if it will work or not. My program is more focused on the actual experience. So the gallery show is really important to feel the work. But as Olivier says, it will be an added value to be more online and also more transparent, to discover and check out things before you go to the gallery.
Yeah, I also think being online is not something that's gonna go away or diminish at a point. We're all kind of a generation that grew up just going to museums and going to galleries, and that was it. That was the only way to see, or book. That was the only way to see art. But you know, the next generation, they don't behave that way at all. And I don't think I meant with the gallery to have such a important online presence. But as it happened, I realized, you know, we go to one city, we pick up some followers and some people that are interested. Then we go to another one and we pick up other ones. And then we do 20 shows a year, but people are unable to see any of them, just one of them in their own city. So does that mean that the shows that we do aren't relatable with people just because they don't see it? I don't think so. I also don't think that the next generation thinks this way. And I was just reading this morning, actually, the future art ecosystem from the Serpentine. And that's what they're talking about. They're talking about a real new ecosystem with new technologies. And not only galleries will have to change or are already changing, but also artists are using all these new technologies to do artworks and to reproduce artwork. And is one single unique artwork more valuable than multiples? Those are not, I'm not answering any of the questions. It's just that, no, I don't know what I believe yet, but I know that it's happening. And what I take from this specific report, that it was really mostly talking about the idea that the artist, from the artist's point of view, using all these new technologies, and because of the complexity of these technologies, it invites the idea of collaboration as a necessity. And I think we go back to that again and again. I don't think it matters that we're 20 hours in front of a computer looking at art or whatever it is. We're still physical people. We're still going to have to collaborate with each other at some point, whatever technique or media or tool we use. And I really think that's what is the core of this global, local, new world where we're going into. And I've always believed that. So I'm actually very happy about that.
Okay, that's interesting. Let me bring up one last topic, maybe. It's a rather urgent topic. As you all know, as gallerists, visual artists, individual artists find themselves in increasingly precarious positions, economically speaking, due to the pandemic. Do you also see it as your role or responsibility as a gallerist to support those artists, to make some kind of difference? It's a general question, so whoever wants to react.
What do you mean, our own artists or all the artists out there?
No, I mean, no, I mean, as a gallerist, towards your artist,
Okay.
That is our job. That's what we do.
Want to say
Pandemic or no pandemic.
Yes.
That's what we do all year. Of course, right now it's more urgent, but that is the job. Yeah.
Does that also mean that your position as a gallerist was as precarious as the artist's position was during the lockdown, during the pandemic?
Well, for us specifically, no, because we didn't go to Sao Paulo and ship to Sao Paulo. We didn't go to Nada. We didn't ship from New York to back. We did fairs that cost us nothing. So, and we didn't. We rent spaces all around the world, so we spent a lot less. The overhead was very, very diminished. So whatever problem arised, it was okay. It balanced out, I would say, for us.
Yeah, I was in the fortunate position to just close one exhibition and take the time to rethink everything for after the physical lockdown in Belgium. But the online platform was also set up to support the artist more than in the gallery situation. So there was more percentage that was going to the artist just to support them, because they lost their side jobs. A lot of exhibitions and gallery shows were canceled. So for a lot of artists, it was a very uncertain period. And with the increased percentage for the artist, we tried to step up a bit towards the support of the artist. And afterwards, when we reopened, I had never as much visitors as the last 2 months. Sales-wise, it was also very good. So yeah, maybe also because of my local focus and local program, that it was already a bit sustainable, that it worked better for me. But future will tell if this will stay this way.
Talk about local, global, Isabella, I think you're in a quite peculiar position, coming from Pristina, but being in Brussels, and I'm part of this consortium of galleries, Maison de Rendezvous. What is your relationship towards the local scene? How do you see that?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think we were welcomed quite warmly, and I'm also very interested in the local scene. So I don't see it, like that. I live in Brussels since 4 years. So for me, like, I follow what's happening as much as I can. I mean, now it's easier because I don't have to travel all the time. And also I'm thankful to be able to be in Brussels, where things, as I stated in the beginning, it's not so hard hit as many other places. For instance, we cannot open our gallery still in Kosovo because the situation is so bad with COVID, so people are fighting for their lives with a horrible medical system and so on. So, and like, people are not advised not to travel there, and I cannot go there for the moment, and I cannot ask anyone else to go there, and I don't want to. And so it's very precarious in that way. And in the other way, it's I feel the situation is really good, in Brussels. Like, soon after the galleries were allowed to open, people came to the gallery, when you respect all the sanitary requirements. And people were also, I was really under the impression people were really hungry to go and see art in real life again, and also be seen, to look at art and have conversations. So I don't know, I'm very happy about the situation in Brussels.
Well, I think that the pandemic also allowed us to, as you said, Isabella, sit back a little bit, to think, to reflect on the current situation. Maybe to also think a bit further ahead than just the next art fair that's coming up or the next exhibition and so on. So maybe it also created this, I mean, generated this question of what kind of art world do we really want? What kind of art market, more specifically, do we really want? Could each of you just briefly try to answer that question? What kind of art market do you want? What kind of future would you like to see? More or less of which? I mean, just it's an open question.
I'll start. I say this word a lot, and we all have said it, but for me, it's always been about collaboration. So, as much as I'm not happy that this happened, there's always a good side to everything. And yes, this time we had to like rest and be quiet a little bit more. I enjoyed very much, and so I'm very happy that we can collaborate with other people. And as soon as the confinement, we were allowed out again, I met with a few of the galleries here in Brussels, and was straight away, I think it came out of everybody's mouth at the same time, let's do something together, please. And and so we are, and we're building something that makes sense for us. And and so that's how I want it. I was, as much as I admire all the galleries with one person's name on the door, I don't think that's the past. I don't think that's the future at all. I think the future is sharing information. I much prefer having 50% of something than 100% of nothing. So that's kind of how I see it. So I'm super excited to keep on the conversation with the people in my city, and do something in Belgium, in different cities. We'll come and see you guys. In Ghent and Antwerp, maybe, and we'll go to all those places that are close, still local, but very different, and hopefully maybe start an exchange where the people in Antwerp can go to Brussels in groups, because it seems like it makes much more sense as a group, like you, Isabella, and La Maison des Rendez-vous. If it was just one gallery coming here by yourself, it doesn't make that much of an impact of saying, look, we all believe in each other, come and see. That's how I see it.
Well, I'll briefly repeat the question. So what kind of future do you want to see for the art world or the art market? Anyone else who would like to react?
I think everything became more personal. Also, it was much easier to call to call another gallery because you're all in this on the same boat. But also with artists and collectors, I called almost every day with an artist to everything became very personal. And also with collectors, it's much easier now for private viewings and everything. This is something that has changed for me. Whereas normally with an opening, it's everyone together. Now you can plan everything. That has changed. But definitely, I completely agree when you say with galleries have to work together more. And for me personally, something that we haven't talked about here it's representation. So now we're gonna start representing artists. But if you're talking about collaborating, sorry, then sometimes it's very difficult to if you need an artist from another gallery to put in a certain show, because it makes this concept of the show much better. It's not always that easy, because of course you work with these representations, sometimes globally, sometimes locally, and I think that's also something that some artists have problems with. That there should be in a way of sometimes. Of course, I'm not giving any solutions, but especially for us as Young Gallery, it's representing artists is sometimes more difficult, especially when they're connected to a large gallery. Again, we're in Ghent. What's the value for the artist if he participates there? But that's something I hope that's going to change, where in the larger galleries, yeah, like are okay with lending out their artist for a good conceptual, theoretically built group show. That's something that I would like to see.
Okay, thank you, Oliver. Bart van der Biesen, what would you like to change, or what do you want to keep the same?
I think I agree completely with Hélène that this period opened doors to conversation with other galleries. It's a pity that Harlan is not here, because Harlan also felt the urgency to talk about this and building bridges with other galleries in other cities, just to share know-how. And I think that is the main key. Collaborations. Everybody should find their own way of collaborating. Base Alpha has been always focused on itself, not that close collaborations with other galleries as La Maison de Rendezvous et Ballon Rouge have. But in the back office, I always was looking for collaborations and make things happen together, and yeah, sharing things and make things happen together makes things stronger. So I hope that will stay in the future or even grow.
That's a very positive note. Isabella, do you agree?
I agree.
Okay, perfect.
It's all about collaboration.
Okay, okay. Well, that's a very positive note to end with. I've been keeping an eye on our live chat on YouTube, and there aren't any questions. So I'm not sure. I hope it's been thought-provoking. Is there anything you would still like to add at the moment? Something that hasn't been said or hasn't been addressed?
I think we talked about many things.
That's
and thoroughly.
Okay.
Okay. Do you think that the fairs will go on next year for 2021?
Who are you asking?
Like an hour ago,
Everybody,
Art Basel canceled its Miami edition.
Okay.
So I think for this year it will be very poor in terms of art fairs.
But this year and next year, until there is a vaccine, I think it's going to be problematic. So I think, this is something we will see, I guess, because the prognosis, like in every country, are different when there will be a vaccine and so on. And I think until there isn't any vaccine that has been really successful, I don't think the people will take the risk to organize another fair that won't be able to take place.
So no, you don't think that the fairs will go on before there is a vaccine?
Locally, small fairs, you see it now. There was the fair in Copenhagen.
Yeah.
Or big fair with a local audience, and I wasn't there, but I've seen and heard some things, and apparently it worked. So I see this kind of fairs, I think, can happen that are based solely on a smaller and local or regional audience.
Yes, sounds like it.
Yes.
Okay, let's end on that note. as they say, never waste a good crisis. So let's try to make the best out of it. Thank you so much for your inspiring contributions. Thanks for our conversations. Hélène Dumenil, Bart van der Biesen, Oliver Barbet, and Isabella Ritter. You will be able to find the entire video on YouTube, I think by tomorrow, if you would like to watch our conversation again. Normally there would be an applause at this moment, but I'll just do it. Okay, let's keep in touch and
Yes.
speak soon, okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Good luck.
Peter.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.